Hi, good morning, everybody. For those of you who are tuned in before, we cut off. It's Guyana, so of course, bad internet connection. Today we're talking about abortion, and joining us today are LIna and Hanani Lewi. They're both very familiar with they do a lot of work at GRPA, so they know a lot about abortions. And Hanani here is our first male guest on this show. Yes, so this is a phenomenal day, our first male guest. And why we chose to bring him on was because a lot of times people say that men should have a say in, women's reproductive health and rights and stuff like that. And we believe, I believe personally, that the only time a man should have a say in women's health is when he knows that he has no say in it, and he can just offer support and guidance and try to kind of teach persons to be a bit more respectful of that. So that's why we have Hanani here today. And so we're going to talk about abortion, and we know there are a lot of myths and stuff surrounding it. And firstly, a lot of people don't know exactly what abortion is, so I will leave one out of the two of you to discuss it. Who wants to be the first to tackle that?
Who doesn't know what abortion is?
A lot of people don't actually know.
So abortion is the termination of a pregnancy, basically, and so it's after fertilization has occurred. So there is an embryo that forms when the sperm meets the egg. So yeah, abortion is just there's maybe the confusion is because people think emergency contraception, right, which is the pill you can take up to 72. That is preventing fertilization. That's preventing the egg and the sperm from meeting, right? So after the egg and the sperm have met and there is fertilization, what if you then do anything to prevent that? That is abortion afterwards, after fertilization has occurred. Hope that's clear.
Okay, so I know there are different methods and kind of procedures there are. I think you were telling me there's two kinds of abortion.
Well, I'm not a fan with the methods of abortion. I work around getting awareness about abortions and how millions can deal with the issue. And I have a feeling that a lot of times when we go against abortion, it's not so much about pro-life, it's about determining women's choices. A lot of males are very vocal in terms of women having abortions, and it's not because they are pro-life. They may say, "Oh, it's a life you're killing," but they really don't care about that. They care about controlling what women do with their bodies, and that's my issue.
Right. I mean, I think the terminology that we use is actually they're not pro-life; they're anti-choice.
Exactly.
Right, because I am pro-abortion, but I'm also pro-life. I'm not anti-life because I think women should have the right to have abortions, right? But if you just want to quickly talk about the types of abortions, and then we can get into some of the other stuff. So in Guyana, there is two kinds of abortion. One is called the surgical abortion, and one is a medical abortion, which is a pill. So it depends on it depends on how early in the pregnancy you are, and which institution you go. Not every place offers the pill. Some places only offer the surgical option. So,
okay. I know one of the things that kind of fuels the pro-life movement is that a lot of time when they refer to the embryo or the fetus, they say it's a life and that life begins at conception. But at that stage, it's not a life. It can't survive on its own. It's not until how many weeks? Until like the 24th?
About 4 weeks. No, I mean 4 months after.
Yeah, until like 4 months after.
That's really hard for life. It's like 5 months is,
Yeah, so it can't sustain life in its own. It's not a life. So that kind of, I know a lot of people don't get the whole thing. They say we can't determine when life is conceived. So I guess that whole thing just kind of dumps the conversation about it. Now, a lot of people think abortion is dangerous. No. Who wants to answer this? I've never.
That's a very tricky way of saying it. A lot of people tend to say that to deter people.
Mhm.
If abortion is done correctly and safely, it's okay. But the problem we have in Guyana is there's a lack of awareness, there's a lack of the right methods. So we tend to do the dangerous methods. So of course it will be unsafe.
Right. I mean, okay, let's put this in context, right? So abortion, I think we should say, first of all, abortion is legal in Guyana. It has been legal for 22 years. So since 1995, that's when the law was passed, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. So abortion is legal. We should not be, there are neighbors, Venezuela, it's illegal. Trinidad, it's illegal. So we have a very progressive law on the books.
That is one up for us.
On the books, right? So a lot of people, some doctors up to now, 2017, still don't know that abortion is legal. Refusing to do it is a different story, right? So you would think that in a country where abortion has been legal for 22 years, it would be something that you could walk into any of the public health institutions, a public hospital, clinic, and ask for one and get one. Because the fact is that abortion, like you said, Hanani, if it's done correctly, it's very safe and it's actually very common, right? I've seen some statistics that say 1 in 3 women of reproductive age in the US has had an abortion. 1 in 3, that's like very, very common. And those women are not dying, they're not, suffering any harmful effects. They're going on with their lives. But like you said, when it is not accessible, it's not done at the public institutions, people have to then resort to, the back alley or the
and those are so dangerous. Like, so many people have died for this. Like, one incident I always bring up whenever I see people against abortion is that one woman who injected Gramazone into her stomach. Yeah. This was just last year. Abortion is legal here, but still we have people injecting Gramazone into their stomach to get rid of an unwanted pregnancy.
And she died.
Yeah, and she died. Yeah. She died,
and,
so that's what happened.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because it was not being done in the public institutions, even though it's legal. So you had private institutions, private hospitals, and doctors doing it at their private clinics, but you have to have money for that, right? And so healthcare in the public setting is supposed to be free in Guyana, but so that's part of the unequal access for women, not being able to access all these services which are part of our sexual and reproductive health. Right. So that's why we still have up to 2016, 21 years after, women still don't know that where to go and get it, how much to pay, and so you end up going to doctors who are not trained or people who are not even doctors, or you drink different teas, bush medicine. I've heard all kinds of strange combinations, or you do things like inject
Yeah, and then you possibly end up killing yourself. And there's a very high rate of that happening because when people go to these back alley doctors who are not trained in anything because of the stigma surrounding abortion, even though sometimes I think the stigma plays a large role, because even when people are aware that they have options, these things still happen. Because you could be very well versed in Planned Parenthood, you could be living right along the street from one, and you become pregnant. You might not want to go because you're in that same community, and then somebody might see you go there and they say, "Oh, she had an abortion," or "No, you're being stigmatized," right? And these are things that we need to tackle. This stigma concerning abortion.
I think the stigma is larger than just abortion. It's a stigma against women having sexuality. We are a society that's been trained that women should be silent and should be quote unquote pure. So when now we grow up and realize that this is not so, that women have the right to be a sexual creature. We all are sexual creatures. And it happens now when they get pregnant, it's evidence. We say it's evidence that, oh, you've had sex. So now it's an issue a lot of women feel because we are trained to judge them according to their sexuality and having sex. And that's a larger issue in our society. So when it comes down to being pregnant, a lot of women feel embarrassed to go to these things, to go to these places that have these procedures because they feel that they're disappointing someone.
I mean, I agree with that to some extent, but I don't think it's just about sex, being sexual beings, because if you look at our music, there's a lot of promotion of sexual activity and being very sexual. I think it has to do with that, but also the notion of what it means to be a woman, that you must have a child. And if you, for some reason, don't want children or don't want children at a particular point in time when you become pregnant and you decide to have an abortion or you want to have an abortion, then you're stigmatized for throwing away your belly. But I think it has to do with femininity and motherhood. The fact that there's this notion in our society that to be a woman, you have to have children. I'm 40 years old. I don't have any children. I don't have any desire to have children. I have had abortions because I did not want children. And I am regularly stigmatized for being childless, even though it's childless by choice. And I'm perfectly happy and content with my status. Other women, I get a lot of judgment, and men too. Yeah, it's like you have 3 heads or something.
Yeah. Yeah, women are always being encouraged to have children, but a lot of times when people get abortions, it's for various reasons. As I was saying just the other day, they might not want children, as LIna here did not want children. They might not feel that they're ready for a child. Whatever their reason is, you need to respect that reason. Because if you start disrespecting it, then it makes it a very dangerous atmosphere for them to be able to access that. And when it's dangerous, then you're putting them in more danger. And one of the points here I see Nadia Greer made was that a lot of times when abortion is portrayed in the media, it's kind of portrayed in a negative light. And so people are not really aware of, they're being misinformed then about what abortion can be like. And one of the things you do see a lot in the media is that whenever a woman started, after she finished having an abortion, she'd be kind of depressed and she'd be all kind of thing. And they say that would have scarred her then. But then a lot of times when people have an abortion, they're not emotionally or mentally scarred. One of the feelings most common with having an abortion is one of relief, because they no longer have to face that impending responsibility that they might not have wanted. So we just need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the reasons why somebody wants or needs an abortion is not really important.
Yeah.
One of the points that I want to make is that for as long as women have been around on this planet and have been getting pregnant and reproducing, women have been having abortions, right? So It's just, it's a part of life. It's like part of the whole cycle of life. And, lots of us women have abortions and we go on to have children, to, carry on with life as it doesn't mean the end of the world. So yeah, just normalizing abortion as part of the usual reproductive cycle of a woman. I think that would be a huge step if we could just make it seen as normal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, because we whenever we talk about abortion, we always talk about it in this kind of secretive way, we whisper abortion. We never want to say it outright because there's such negative connotations with the word. And I feel that we really need to normalize abortion. We need to normalize women's access to safe reproductive health care and stuff like that. Because when we do this, we try to make it something dangerous and something that should be kept secret, then it becomes that much harder for us to safely access it. And I think that when we see women go to such drastic measures as injecting gramazone or sticking, hangers up their vaginas and stuff like that, if they go to such dangerous measures, then I think that we need to be fully aware of how important it is for it to be accessible and safe. Now, one of the things that a lot of people seem confused about is that when abortion actually happens, they believe that even if a child, even if a fetus is fully formed, then it can still be aborted. So even in like the 7-8 months, still you can still abort a fetus. Now, as you mentioned earlier, I want you to kind of go over that a bit and explain a bit more about the different the time periods. Then I think it's legal up to 18 weeks. 16, sorry, well, okay. 16. I thought it was 8 before. I thought it was legal only up to 8 before, but LIna informed me it's actually 16 weeks. So I want you to just explain that for a bit.
Okay. So most abortions happen in the first trimester. That's in the first, 3 months of pregnancy before you even see any sign that a woman is pregnant. So there's no baby bump, there's nothing. And that's the majority of abortions. So in Guyana, any woman or girl, you don't need parental permission, you don't need the permission of your spouse if you're married. For any woman or girl in Guyana can get an abortion in the first 8 weeks of a pregnancy for any reason. She needs to undergo some counseling, so pre-abortion counseling and post-abortion counseling. I think there's a 48-hour wait period. But any doctor or even any mid-level healthcare provider, so a medics, a midwife, anybody the doctor authorizes can perform this abortion.
Oh, just something to clarify. That 24 hours, 48 hours. That's mandated.
It's in the law that I read. Yes. So you'll get if you go in Monday, then Wednesdays.
Is that time to think about your decision? Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing to think about. It's not,
Yeah.
It is it is a relatively serious decision. Right. So between 8 and 12 weeks, I think it has to be done in a healthcare setting and by a doctor. Between 12 and 16 weeks, I think 2 doctors have to approve, and it has to be done in a healthcare setting. And after 16 weeks, 3 doctors have to approve, and it has to be done in a healthcare setting. And it has to, I think after 16 weeks, it's to save the life. So it's very liberal compared to a lot of countries in Latin America and Caribbean, which have lots of restrictions, and like I said, some it's even illegal.
Okay, you said that you do a lot of work in raising social awareness and stuff. So, in all this work, what are some of the when you talk to people, what are some of the ideas you hear about abortion that are not always incorrect? What are some of like the myths you might have heard that might have just struck you right away?
The first thing you always hear is that once you have an abortion, you will regret it for the rest of your life. That's the first thing you always hear. And every time you talk about it with young women, they say, I don't want to wake up at 14, say, oh my, this is the thing I always regret. That's the thing you hear a lot of the times. And they don't realize that once you make your decision, you think about it, you have time to think about it. It's not something so negative that you will always regret. You can always have children at a later time if you so wish. And that's the issue we have a lot of times. And then a lot of times we're telling our kids that you have a short period to make children. So what happens is that once I don't get pregnant, even if I got pregnant at this time and I got an abortion, after this time, my time is over. And that's the issue we have a lot of times. We get misinformed about when women can get pregnant. Women can get pregnant later on in life. The thing is, we tell our children that, hey, your 20s are your best time to get pregnant. So once you have an abortion during your 20s and you reach the 30, they say, oh, my time is over. And that's the issue we have a lot of times with young girls. And the problem we have is that what happens is that the older generation is forcing upon them their ideologies. And that's the issue we have a lot of times. Younger ones are a little more liberal because we are exposed a little more, information is a little more accessible. But the problem is that they get the information, but then they hear all the negative things from their parents. And the parents are mostly the ones that are misinformed because they've never gotten the access that we have now. It's easier now to go on YouTube, go on Google, find all the information there is about abortion. But you will have that information. But then you might hear from your aunt or your granny telling you all the things that they have heard from other people, but there's no fact. But it's not something we say, and that's the issue we have. Misinformation is the most important, is the biggest issue we have with abortions again.
LIna, you look like you're itching to say
No,
something.
I agree with that. As you were speaking, you were talking, I was thinking about, what you say, like, we tell people, and, there's a lot of external pressure and external messages. And it's about what people should do, what women should do with their bodies, and to have children. But why are we not talking about, are you ready to have a child? What it takes to not just birth a child, but to raise a child, like all the emotional, the economic resources that you need, right? And I think it's not just like dogs and cats having, litters, right? Like it takes a lot of effort, a lot of
This
work.
is litters of children.
It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility. I think it's a huge responsibility to have a child, and to like actually raise a child, right?
I have a child. This is a very huge responsibility. Yes.
Right. And I think we just don't think enough and think seriously enough about what it takes, and because it's easy to have a child. Not anybody. There are people who are infertile and whatnot, but to have sex and to get pregnant and to give birth to a child is not really that complicated. It's not like you don't really have to think about it, right? Raising the child is the issue, and we don't support each other and talk about what that means and what is needed.
Also, the problem we have is a lot of single parents, and people don't take that into consideration. Most often, men are not encouraged to take responsibility. So oftentimes, a woman is always left on her own to raise a child. We never bring this up in terms of when we're talking about abortions. Is she economically able to take care of a child on her own? And that's the issue we never talk about.
Right.
We always say you shouldn't do this because this is what you're supposed to do. We never bring men into the discussion. I'm so proud to be here because oftentimes you find that you really have at least one man in the discussion passionate about it. Because as much as it may not be my body, it may not be men's rights, well, I live in a world with women. My mother's a woman. My sister is a woman. I have female friends. Of course, I will be passionate.
Oh my God.
But men a lot of times tend to, it's women's right. It's not my issue. But then you have to think about it. Isn't your mother a woman? Should you care about her well-being? Should you care about your sister, your friends? And that's the reason why I try to get boys into this discussion. Because a lot of times boys are passionate. They never feel that they have the chance to speak. And sometimes we gotta train them before. We gotta re-engineer their minds before. Because oftentimes you tell our boys so many negative things. And before they speak, they're not speaking what they feel, they're speaking what they think that they're supposed to say. And that's the issue we have a lot of times.
Okay, I always kind of find it funny whenever we're talking about men and coming into like women's issues, and how sometimes men use the excuse, I never felt this way until I thought about my mother or my daughter. Like, you had to look at a family member to realize women need to be treated as autonomous beings. What? Okay. We have a question here from Janelle Prasad, and she wants to know whether associated risks affect the potential of having kids in the future. Because when she was pregnant with her son, she had considered abortion, but was concerned about that and not being able to become pregnant again.
No, if it's done by a trained healthcare practitioner, there's no reason why a woman who has an abortion cannot get pregnant again. And actually, most of the women I know who have had abortions end up getting pregnant and having children later on. It's when it's not done properly, in somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, then there can be serious injury, and pain and suffering that lasts for a long time if it's not done properly. But if it's done by a trained healthcare provider in a setting that is, approved, then there's no reason at all why there's any negative effect on the woman's ability to reproduce later.
Yeah, and that is why you should support abortion rights, because when you support it, it means that there's a safer space and women get easier access and they get better access to abortion. So We won't have any deaths. We won't have any miscarriages. Not miscarriages. We won't have any what do you call it? What do you call it? Like when the if you have an abortion and like the uterus is scarred. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm already thinking about something else.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah, there won't be maybe because there will be significant diminution of it because now we have trained professionals who are able to operate in a safe and open space, right? And people will be able to access that.
And actually, the cost too, right? To get an abortion, the cost of caring, paying for a woman to be in ICU for days at a time, it's much cheaper for the woman to have an abortion and go home, a few hours later than if she ends up in the ICU, for days and days and days. So economically, abortions are better.
Yeah, one of the things, as you said that, one of the things I wanted to bring up was that a lot of people seem so misinformed about the difference between contraception and abortion. They're not the same thing. They come under reproductive health and services, but they're not the same thing. Now, you two work in this area, so I will just leave y'all to discuss this for a bit. Now, the difference between contraception and abortion first, and then I want to analyze. I'm always out of this screen. Yeah, I kind of analyze the thought processes behind why we try to conflate the two. I think that when you try to conflate the two, it's really used as a tactic to kind of make abortion seem bad as this bad thing, because then we say they don't really care about their reproductive health because their only option is to go get an abortion rather than to try to use condoms or use pills and stuff like that. But what they fail to realize a lot of times is that abortion is usually like a last-ditch method after such methods would have failed. So,
first thing first, contraceptives is to prevent pregnancy. Abortion happens after you get pregnant. That's the first thing you gotta clear up right away. And the thing is, we often misconceive the two. We often mix them up a lot because there isn't enough information out there. While it may be legal, abortion is legal. A lot of times we don't really know. You said it yourself, doctors don't know because there's not awareness of the issue.
I mean, there's no sex ed.
I didn't even know abortion was legal until like 2-3 years ago. I didn't know, and I had to actually go research it to find out. Like I could have,
Yeah, there are no billboards. There's no, hotlines or anything. But, right. So, what were you saying?
We're having a momentary memory lapse.
Yeah. As long as, to me, we will prevent a lot of things if persons are aware.
Yeah.
The thing is, you said it yourself, there's no sex ed in schools. And that's a big issue. We have a huge pushback in terms of that.
Right. And our teen pregnancy rates are actually
one of the highest in the Caribbean, second in the Caribbean, third in Latin America. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that this is an issue because what happens is that, my friends are not getting pregnant. So I don't think this is an issue. But then you need to look at your country as a whole. Your circle may not be affected, but your country is. And that's something that you need to be concerned about.
Particularly when it comes to like women in the riverine areas and stuff like that, they hardly have access to safe abortion services.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to contraception, I mean, there is a link, right? Because our rates of contraceptive uptake is very low in Guyana. I think it's about 30%. So that means only 1/3 of all the women who are of reproductive age and who need contraception, only about 1/3 of them are actually accessing or using any kind of contraception on a regular basis. So that's very, very low. But the abortion happens again for many reasons. It could be women who are using contraception and it fails. And it's not just teenagers. I mentioned teen pregnancy just now, but I want to say that it's anybody of reproductive age, any woman of reproductive age can get pregnant for any number of reasons. And we can talk about the various reasons, but for me personally, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If a woman needs an abortion,
let her make that decision for herself.
She needs access to a safe and affordable place where she can get it done by a trained professional. And the role of outsiders is just to say, are you okay? Do you need any support? Right? There's way too much judgment and us projecting, like we talked about earlier, our ideas of what we think should be done and how we think women should be act and live.
Yes, definitely. Women, when it comes to abortion, you just need to remember that it is first and foremost your choice. And when you are looking at your options, make sure you're aware of all your options, the different kinds of abortions, the time periods and stuff like that. Just try to educate yourself as much as possible and find out which option is best for you. And once again, it's your decision. Don't let anybody make choices for you. It was really good chatting about this today. Any other points you want to make?
Yeah, let's see where women can get abortions.
Oh my! Wow. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. I know of the Guyana Responsible Parenthood Association, GRPA. They do both the pill and suction method, which is the pill is 13.5, and the suction is around 15. Is that around 15,000?
I think it's sliding scale.
Yeah.
Yes. We work with.
Yeah.
Oh, they work with income, so that's good.
And so that's on Palmer Street. You want to
Yes.
give the phone number?
Phone number is not on my right head. I forgot these numbers.
Okay.
But what you can do, you can access our Facebook page. Yeah, the Canada Responsible Parenthood Association. We have right next to where you can serve, right next between serve and Hallmark.
Okay.
So you can get us that.
Yeah, the number for GRPA is 225-0739. One more time, 225-0739. I sound like one of those talk show hosts. One more time. Also, the Guyana Public Hospital, they also do abortions. They offer free abortion services. And the other private institutions, you have to pay. But those are options. So if you can, just try to know about that.
Right. So it's, for people in town, it's easy. For people who can come to town, it's easy. For people who have money to travel to town or to go to a private doctor, it's easy. Like you were saying, for women in the hinterland or in the riverine areas, then it becomes a lot harder. So that's some of the work that GRPA is trying to do now, is to extend, to have a set of clinics in some of those outlying areas. So it's not just so Georgetown.
Okay. One more point from Janelle about religious consideration. We actually touched on this earlier, Janelle, about it not being murder because it's not a life. It can't sustain off of its own. We touched on it earlier. Her consideration was about whether abortion can be considered murder, because that's kind of the religious argument there.
I mean, it's again, that's a value judgment as far as I'm concerned, and it's debating if a woman should have abortion or not. And I mean, I think we're in the position that it's a choice. It's the woman's choice, and if you are personally, against abortion, don't have one. But if your friend, your sister, someone else needs one,
it's your choice, but don't restrict other people's decisions. Okay. There we go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your questions and input. Thank you. See you next week.